Anybody that met Blair Main, even 10-year-old, 50-year-old, he was such a quiet giant of a man. You could hardly believe that this man was a combat soldier.
I suppose sportsman and war hero personified. I mean, he reached the zenith in terms of sporting achievements. Rugby, played for the British Lions, Irish University's boxing champion, Irish Rugby International, British Lions International. So he reached the zenith in terms of his own sporting ambitions, and most highly decorated soldier in the history of the British Army. He ticks all the boxes as a genuine hero, I suppose.
It's unbelievable. The story of Blair Main becomes an addiction, and you just yearn for more and more information.
Lieutenant Colonel Robert Blair Main, a distinguished war hero, renowned sportsman, a hero of World War II. The 11th of January 1915, Robert Blair Main is born in the market town of Newtownards, County Down. Along with his parents and 6 siblings, Main spent his childhood on a family estate in Mount Pleasant. Main attended the local grammar school, Regent House. It was here that his love for rugby blossomed in a spectacular career, which involved no less than 6 caps for the Ireland rugby squad, and being selected for the British Lions tour of South Africa in 1938. In March 1939, Main joined the Supplementary Reserve in Newtownards, where he received commission into the Royal Artillery. Being posted at several different regiments, Main in 1940 found himself undergoing commando training in Arran, a remote island off the west coast of Scotland. This proved to be the making of him, the metamorphosis of Main into a professional soldier. The commandos were formed by the order of Winston Churchill, the British Prime Minister. Churchill wanted specially trained troops that would be able to develop a reign of terror down the enemy coast. In the beginning, there were a small force made up of volunteers who carried out small raids in enemy-occupied territory. Main first saw action in June 1941 on a commando raid behind Vichy French lines on the Litani River in Syria. It was marred by heavy losses. These include the death of his commanding officer, Lieutenant Colonel Petter, with whom he had been with since the Isle of Arran. After a little disagreement in Egypt with his new commanding officer, whom Main had knocked unconscious, Main was rescued from arrest by the influence of Captain David Stirling, who had just been authorised by General Auchinleck to form a new force to operate in the desert behind German and Italian lines. Captain Stirling's new unit was known as the Special Air Service, more commonly known as the SAS. This was an elite unit made up of the finest British soldiers, of which Main was one of the first. From 1941 through to the end of 1942, Main took part in many SAS missions in the deserts of Egypt and Libya, destroying hundreds of German and Italian aircrafts, which gained him several promotions and his first DSO award. Main also pioneered the use of military jeeps to perform hit-and-run attacks, circling the airfields and changing formation to confuse the enemy. The SAS founder, Captain David Stirling, was captured towards the end of the campaign in Africa. Main became the commanding officer of the SAS, leading him into Europe on a number of successful campaigns and earned him 2 bars on his DSO for his actions in Italy and France.
Blair commented that if you wind the dash of an aircraft in the anti-clockwise direction, you can rip the wires out easier than winding it in a clockwise fashion.
On the 10th of April 1945, the 1st SAS took part in Operation Hard, acting in front of the 4th Canadian Armoured Division. One of the squadrons were pinned down, sustaining heavy casualties, including the death of their commanding officer. In an act of valour, Main drove his jeep directly towards the enemy, with all guns blazing. Redirecting enemy fire, Main managed to free the pinned down troops and rescue the wounded. Following Main's actions, the German troops retreated. For his bravery in Operation Hard, Main was recommended for the Victoria Cross, but was instead awarded a 3rd bar on his DSO. Some believe this action was ignorance from the upper ranks. Many people, still to this day, believe Main should have received a Victoria Cross for any one of his several acts for which he received DSOs. With the ending of World War II, Main returned to the family home of Mount Pleasant. His numerous battles and exploits have resulted in some serious back injuries, almost certainly due to the constant strain of his dangerous wartime actions, not to add the magnitude of damage caused by low-level parachute drops deep behind enemy lines. would surely place great physical pressure on him. The years of hard-won victories and hardship were now beginning to extract a heavy price. Sadly, this meant Mayne was no longer able to carry on with his beloved sporting career on the rugby field. Putting his physical problems aside, Mayne was soon looking for another demanding role and so took part in an expedition to the Antarctic. However, Mayne's increasing pain stopped this in its tracks and forced him to return back to his home in Newtonards. Mayne soon took up the post of Secretary to the Law Society of Ireland. This meant Mayne was travelling throughout Ireland and the UK, allowing him to keep watching his favourite sporting clubs. He also attended as many SAS regimental reunions, where old comrades stated that when Mayne entered a room, a huge light went on. However, on an early morning in December in 1955, at only 40 years old, Mayne came to his untimely end, when his red Riley car collided with an unlit lorry parked by the road, coming to a stop when he struck an electricity pole only a few hundred yards from the safety of his own home. And so the seemingly invincible Lieutenant Colonel Robert Blair Mayne died by the side of the road. However, the legacy of Mayne still lives on with the erection of a bronze statue in the town centre, and shortly after the erection, the Blair Mayne Association was set up, its main aim being to remember his incredible life story, including his war exploits, his deeds, and his courage, with the hope that the memory of such a great man is never forgotten.
I believe that Blair Mayne was put on this earth to shorten a war.